Most people aren't aware of it, but there was a scientific storm in America all through the late 50s about this thing out there in space because the astronomers were all watching it, and that was back when they weren't afraid to talk about it. I believe that instead of having dirt on it like our planet does and water, I think this thing is just a big, bright reddish-orange iron ball because it's giving off all this red iron oxide dust out into the atmosphere. When we thought at first it was just a teeny little red speck of fuzzy red dust in the distance, but over the years as it went by and we watched it, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally about 2008, we could see this thing like it was across the street, and we could see that it was a blazing hot ball of fire giving out sparkles of red iron oxide dust for thousands of miles in every direction.
Just when you thought there could not be more change going on in the world, magnetic north is moving. Aviators know it has always moved, but not like this. It's just skipping along. It's on the move about 40 miles a year now along the polar cap toward Russia.
According to what I was told, is that this thing is approximately 47,000 miles in diameter, 4 or 5 times the size of the Earth, and it'll come past us, and we won't have a lot of warning, and we won't get to see it in the sky until it's on us. I think the NASA timeline is completely off. I think this thing is going to arrive much earlier than they say it is. We were looking at asteroids right close to this thing. There's asteroids that are floating around right near that are orbiting the main sun itself. These things appear to be about 500 miles across, and as you go back into the tail, you get into meteorites that go back for millions of miles in the tail. This thing looks like a giant red teardrop-shaped dust cloud, and you can see once if you're able to see it up close like we did, you can see every speck out there. I guarantee you, there's trillions of meteorites following this thing. It's sending all of this red iron oxide dust out into space around it, right. And it's got this enormous, and I mean enormous, at least 50 or 100,000 miles on each side of it, this red dust cloud that goes all the way around it. I know when we were watching it, as it started to make the upward swing to approach behind our sun, it was amazing. The red dust cloud settled down. Instead of being round, it started to settle down into a V, like wings, upside down wings. Right. And I thought, boy, I wonder if that's where the ancient Sumerians got the idea this thing had wings. Now, these CIA people that I know say that we're not going to be that close to it when it goes past us. They're saying that in order to attain breakaway speed, when it comes up around the backside of the sun, its speed will at least double, possibly more, which will put it here earlier than everybody is saying it will, and that this thing will probably be about 20 million miles from us when it crosses in front of us. And then as soon as...
What's up, guys? NASA is saying that we could possibly have a magnetic pole shift very soon. It was within the next 1,000 years and possibly within the next 100 years. And maybe this is also coming from never a straight answer, your beloved NASA. But maybe they're actually giving us a little bit of truth for once. Maybe there is something with this magnetic pole shift. And there's been a lot of talk with this the past several years. But what has been happening big really the past couple of years, animals, birds, a lot of strange things with them, their patterns. And a lot of strange animal die-offs with whales, fish, birds just falling out of the sky. And on top of strange noises in the sky, these booms. A lot of reports across the world hearing these strange booms and noises in the sky. Maybe this has something to do with the magnetic poles. So maybe NASA is actually onto something here for once. But there are growing fears that weakening of the Earth's magnetic field and reversal of magnetic poles could have catastrophic consequences for humanity. Some reports believe that magnetic pole shifts in the past triggered mass extinctions, including extinction of Neanderthals. And scientific researchers say there is evidence that the Earth's magnetic field has weakened significantly in the past 160 years, and that neutralization of the magnetic field and flipping of magnetic poles could occur in less than 1,000 years, or as early as the next 100 years. Weakening of the Earth's magnetic field caused by a gradual reversal, realignment of iron atoms in the Earth's liquid outer core will lead to reversal or flipping of the Earth's magnetic poles so that compasses point to the south instead of the north. When the polar shift happens, the Earth will have no magnetic field for about 200 years. So they're saying that if the reversal of the poles, magnetic poles, they flip, there won't be any magnetic field for 200 years. And there will be increase in skin cancers. Weakening the Earth's magnetic field could have serious consequences for life on Earth because the magnetic field acts as a shield that prevents dangerous solar radiation from passing to the atmosphere. And they go on to state that when its magnetic field is neutralized, the Earth will lose its ability to shield its atmosphere from direct exposure to dangerous solar radiation for up to 20 years, leaving humanity and life on Earth exposed to harmful radiation from the sun, including solar flares and coronal mass ejections. And, quote, even if the field becomes very weak at the Earth's surface, we are shielded from radiation by the atmosphere, according to Corte. Similarly, as we cannot see or feel the presence of the geomagnetic field now, we most likely would not notice any significant change from reversal. So they're saying that you won't notice anything from reversal except for a bunch of blisters and solar radiation and cancers and things like that. That's really the only thing you're going to notice. But that's about it for this time. Reporting to you from my lunch break at work this weekend. And just let me know what you think in the comments below. Is NASA on to something? Is this the magnetic pole shift, is it weakening? Is that one reason why there has been a lot of strange animal die-offs with birds, fish, whales, and also is the magnetic field, is it weakening because a lot of these strange noises?
Seek.
Most people aren't aware of it, but there was a scientific storm in America all through the late 50s about this thing out there in space because the astronomers were all watching it, and that was back when they weren't afraid to talk about it. I believe that instead of having dirt on it like our planet does and water, I think this thing is just a big, bright reddish-orange iron ball because it's giving off all this. Most people aren't aware of it, but there was a scientific storm in America all through the late 50s about this thing out there in space because the astronomers were all watching it, and that was back when they weren't afraid to talk about it. I believe that instead of having dirt on it like our planet does and water, I think this thing is just a big, bright reddish-orange iron ball because it's giving off all this red iron oxide dust out into the atmosphere, When we thought at first it was just a teeny little red speck of fuzzy red dust in the distance, but over the years as it went by and we watched it, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, about 08,